Welcome, everyone. The Grandmaster Dr. Thor Templar here. And, I always like to, I'm constantly striving to simplify and clarify with the least amount of verbiage, which may seem contradictory considering how long some of my lectures are. But some things you just can't say quickly or even in 30, 40, 50 minutes. They may even take a few hours. But I do like to get to some points and succinctly state them. And one of that I like to do is define the occult science last white dragon path. Just to kind of, I think I've come up with it here, and it's always spurred by outside influences that kind of define the process. Now, there are basically 5 steps to understanding the occult sciences. And I'm going to go through these succinctly without too much verbiage of what it takes to reach all your goals in life. And that is the common world goals and also the higher spiritual goals. So, I don't see how those are different in any way. They're not exclusive to themselves. There's no reason to be caught up in a materialistic lifestyle alone. I don't think that has any value. Does sitting on a mountaintop in a diaper have any value? Well, I don't think so either. The common world and the foo-foo spiritual world that a lot of people think is somehow divine are paths of the idiot. So, we live in a physical world. We need to deal with it. You need to achieve certain goals. So, it depends on where you want to go in life. So those seeking, greater levels of materialistic empowerment need these skills as much as those seeking the higher realms. And I don't think you can, not only are not they exclusive from each other, if you don't have both of them, you don't make it. Even in the most poverty-stricken or foo-foo places like India, it's amazing how the ashrams and temples that cater to the Westerners or have large followings are quite wealthy in their own way. They're not little shacks somewhere. They're big buildings well taken care of, and those involved in teaching and facilities there have quite a bit of money. And I'm afraid it takes that to pass on things too. You can't have everybody surround in an empty field somewhere. I guess you could, but having facilities, having temples to go to, having real bathrooms, maybe a place to get a snack, kind of helps. Especially if it's raining, to have a roof over your head. Or if it's 120, nice to have a roof over your head. So I don't think how one is different from the other, and this is where people tend to lose track yet again. So the first step, which I can't emphasize enough, of course they're all important. I don't know, can you pick something that's more important? So is disillusionment deprogramming. Now, you need to unlearn everything that you've learned. And this is part of the disillusionment. Well, how do you do that? How do you reject where you're at and go on to and deprogram yourself? Well, you have to be disillusioned. Look at the world. I don't know anyone that ultimately doesn't get horribly fucked by the world. Now, you can follow the games. You can do all what they do. You can become rich. Is that going to save you? No. Well, the world's going to still hand you, even if you're wealthy. Steve Jobs, we can talk about. Linda McCartney, 2 super rich people who beat the system. Linda McCartney was a great animal advocate, a vegetarian advocate, tried to help the world. Steve Jobs helped himself. Polar opposites to some degree, even though it appears that old Jobby, the rude little prick that he was, and still is, wherever he is. Hopefully not where I'm going. Did do some good things. So nothing is all inclusive, but he's a legend in his own mind. So the whole idea is that these people, when it came to the fact of the society that they bought into, no matter how much, you could say Steve was more than Linda who rejected it, but still they were bought into society, handed them the ultimate prize that living in an illusion will give you. It's a fancy box. They come up to you. Could be real. Could be in a spirit. Could be in a dream. Could be something you see flash in front of your face. This beautiful box, beyond imagination, given to you. And you open it. And what's in it? It's empty. Because society has no answers. Yet you need the ultimate answer because you're dying. And what did they give you? Nothing. So remember, you don't want to get to that stage of disillusionment because the game's over. You want to know before that the fraud of everything in the society and how everything you know needs to be unlearned. You need to be deprogrammed from all the garbage they put in you because they're going to give you an empty box. Number 2 of the 5 countdown. Streams. Well, what do you do after you're disillusioned? Well, and this is part of one of these kind of all tie together, but if you're going to change anything, you have to tap into that particular stream of energy to change it. Now, let's go back to the healing case here. 2 people dying. You need to tap into the stream of energies to heal yourself. This will bring in the energies to heal you. Sometimes, if not all the time, this is the critical factor of having the stream connection, which is what Triforce Systems, what we teach you to do in the guild in general, will come into your life and can miraculously heal you. Or whatever else you're needing. You bring the stream in, but you have created these fields around you. What you're doing with the stream is you're bringing in greater power because that field around you is either broken in the health field or not strong enough to take care of that particular problem you have. So you've got to draw that energy in. Now, streams have been confused with so many things, and you could call them, God forms, gods, goddesses, runes, magical symbols, sigils, whatever you want to call them. They have a particular energy or frequency for that particular need. So it's like going through a particular, you could say, tuning some sort of device, or your youngums don't know if you tune a radio, you're turning a dial, even if it's digital. If you tune something, you're going click, click, click. Just a little bit more here, a little bit more there. 99.8, 99.6, 90.4 in radio stations, you could say. But each one of those is different. So if you need 99.4 and you're on 99.3, it don't work. And you could say that 99.3 is healing energy. Some sort of God form, and there are many God forms that are connected to healing. They're just a frequency. What ancient and silly modernistic Lord of the Rings man does now is still give them names. It's Jesus, he'll heal you. So the whole idea is you can name it whatever you want. It's a frequency, and giving it some sort of more humanistic factors may help or not. But regardless of that, and there could be, and there are millions of healing frequencies, energies, God-formed spirits that can assist. The key, and part of the challenge of this reality, is finding out of those millions the one that works for you. Now, combined with those streams is channels. I talk about channels a lot because it's super important. Now, part of that stream is that you need to create a channel to assist that. So you're cooked into an energy field, a frequency field to heal, which helps. But usually there's something else that you need to channel in with you. Maybe that stream of empowerment, that healing energy, that goddess or god of healing, will tell you to go to Pete Zimmerman. He's the best doctor to cure you. Well, that's a stream. Maybe you need to take a special herb. Maybe you need Dr. Zimmerman and the herb. You need channels. Don't think that these are exclusive to each other again. He who plans on one particular thing and puts all his eggs in one basket usually ends up to have one sloppy omelet. So, it's a coordination of bringing channels to you. What'll happen? Just the fact of connecting to a stream, you may just one day go on the net and it happens to me all the time. All of a sudden something pops up, I accidentally click on, I clicked on the wrong thing. What comes up? A fantastic book I needed to know about. This is how things work. Spirits don't talk in your head. They don't pop up in front of you. That's called mental illness. You can't relate to that. Now, whether people actually are seeing real things that have these problems, maybe their filter is removed, but that filter is just that. It has to be a filter not being removed. It's too mind-screwing to see that every day. So things have to work through the physical reality as well. So you're getting both information. A stream could be just more guidance in some sort of occult science. But you need that channel, and that channel is usually some person or some things. Could be a supplement, could be something else that can radically change or even save your life. Now, when you're connected, these come to you. When you're not, and you live in an illusionary world, Steve Jobs and Linda McCartney, you get the empty box and you die. Number 4, gnosis. Well, how do you know what's good? How do you know what stream to go to? How do you know what supplement to take? Here we go again. You have to reach the state of gnosis. Do you know what's good? This is very problematical because everybody's telling you that this $50 bottle of supplements is going to do everything for you. This new medication, this new doctor is going to tell you need an operation, you need this, you need that. Do you? I mean, everything's the miracle cure, whether that comes from your doctor who's a pill-pushing controlled criminal or a person who's hawking and making literally hundreds of millions of dollars in the supplemental industry. So they got a little bit of motivation. You know, they're not making a couple of $100. And I've seen this even from people that have valid products, even recently, who seem to be greedy, rotten people making money off of illness and death while saying that they hate the medical establishment. You're part of the medical establishment. You're just not going through the schools they did. They have a club and they want to keep their club going because they worked for it and paid for it. People come out of medical schools with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in bills they owe. They're already a slave. You found some supplement that you're hawking and making hundreds of millions from with virtually nothing more than a few bucks and some business skill. And we need to encourage both sides of these things. But we not believe that. How can we believe? I've seen such gross misstatements by so-called educated people on both areas that it is shocking. I've seen things coming out of news media and people who do reports on these things, and even companies like the Life Extension Company, which does a lot of research, make gross misstatements in areas that you have to just shake your head and say, you know, somebody who's telling you the color red looks like yellow. Now, we all know what red looks like, and you have to say, hasn't anybody ever told you what red looks like? You're telling me that red is yellow. I mean, that's how bad the errors are from multi-hundred-million-dollar companies like Life Extension. It's gnosis, baby. It's all about gnosis. Now, if you haven't reached a state of wisdom that you know, you feel, you completely understand what is right, what is valued through the balance of spiritual and occult science, and it is a science, balanced with plain old-fashioned research of what these people are stating. What are the tests behind it? Does it make sense? In the common world and the common scientific world, combined with the only thing that really has value, which is the occult science world, where you can test things, test their energy fields, and test them individually for yourself. Now, these are kind of interesting, but it's gnosis. Do you know what to even bother testing? So, throughout life, you're constantly getting handed these empty boxes. Well, here's the education you went through. Well, I should get a job now, shouldn't I? Here it is. It's in the box. Open it. Oh, the box is empty. Uh-oh. Too bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry? How do I pay my mortgage and take care of my kids? How do I eat? I'm sorry. I'm afraid that doesn't cut it. So gnosis is very, very important. You got to know what it is. You got to know what you're going for and what kind of value it gives you and whether it has any value whatsoever. If you're going to bet your life on something, if you're going to get behind something, you need to make sure that it is gnosis, it is wisdom, it is a fact that you are going to then incorporate into your consciousness. The last, which is all part of it, how do you do any of this when you really get down to it? Well, you have to properly train yourself. Oh, well, I read on the internet that this is true. And man, they say you can do everything with this technique. So, the point is training, and this, unfortunately, everything intertwines together. So, what's on the interweb is absolutely worthless without gnosis. And here again, we're in a time of informational glut. Everything is out there. Everybody has their own information, which boils down to your opinion. And everybody's got their own opinion. And what is that opinion based in? And I found that, people are really, they're not necessarily liars, but they are highly delusional. And they think something's working when it's not. And you go and you examine their life and, nothing's working in your life. Why are you telling me it is? I find this all the time. So you have to get the right training. If you're listening to my voice right now, most likely you're in the right training. But that right training doesn't stop at just your outer order. People need to move into the college training, get certified, and get into the higher inner order training, where all of this is brought to your enlightenment, and you get the higher training. So you have to go through these steps, step by step, and understand exactly what you need to do. But, training is critical because ultimately, how do you learn any of this? And ultimately, will you learn it depends upon you as well. And it's not something that you can go through initially and just, okay, I'm going to learn this, accept it, and make it part of your life. Well, that's not how things work because of the fact of your constant programming that you've went through, and how much disillusionment can you take without rejecting it and saying that guy's talking crazy. He's a crazy talker, He's one of them crazy talkers. But you have to reject everything that you hold on to dearly as a support. The problem is that what you're holding on to that you think is rock solid, that everything you believe in is built on, and you think that this thing couldn't be blown over in the worst storm ever to happen. You could nuke it and it won't blow over. This is the facts of life. It's nothing more than a house of cards, ready to be blown over by the first major confrontation you come up with. It is the box, and it is empty, and you're holding on to it for dear life. Where it comes into, where the disillusionment, where the courage, where the understanding of a higher path and higher empowerment, not based on some illusionary non-existing God, comes in. It's the fight for gnosis that must become a passion in your life to find and become wisdom. When that happens, everything else falls into line. Guild strong.